Fatima Payman, do you buy her lines today that she will be on the crossbench? She said today in an interview with our colleague Tom Connell that she won't be joining the Greens. I think there's an open question about a pro-Muslim party, though. Do you think this was a spur-of-the-moment decision?
It doesn't appear that way. As you mentioned in the editorial, it seems like it was something that was rehearsed and thought about for a long period of time. You mentioned the prospect of a sectarian-based vote, or the growing so-called Muslim vote. This is very serious. It is completely incompatible with representative democracy, because your job as an elected member is to represent everybody in your constituency, whether they voted for you or not, whether they're Muslim, Jew, Christian, non-believer. You need to represent all of them. Senator Payman is a senator for Western Australia. Her job is to represent Western Australians. Do Western Australians feel like they're getting proper representation? She said she wanted to be a voice for Palestinians. How does that work in a representative democracy? What about those who don't share her views in Western Australia? So what we're seeing, and I think this growing sectarian vote is a bigger threat than the Communist Party of Australia, which Sir Robert Menzies sought to ban and narrowly lost in a referendum in 1951. But this is because they're trying to operate outside of the boundaries of our normal parliamentary processes, just like the Communist Party sought to.
And we've seen this play out very much in the UK. We'll see what happens overnight with the Labor vote, but we know the UK Muslim Party equivalents, they want to ban Islamophobia. Now, that's not just highly negative or hate speech criticism of Islam, it's any criticism of Islam. That's where we're headed if we're not alive to this, Daniel. You make the point. I think she was well rehearsed today. I think it was a very practiced press conference, and I think she is being used in a way here as the useful idiot by a collective of Muslim male activists who are in the throes of putting together a party, and because she's in the parliament, they'll have a rails run now, much easier path with the Electoral Commission rules.
And she's a young senator. I think she's 29, Peter. She's relatively new to politics. But really embarrassing too for the Labor Party that they didn't come out with a strong stance on this earlier, and they let it drag on for days. I mean, not forgetting we're at the start of a new financial year. They really wanted to plug these tax cuts that we're all getting. They wanted to have all this positive spin on news, and everything has been derailed by Senator Payman's actions.
I know you hate new taxes, or you hate any sort of taxes. You're an absolutely hardcore conservative in that case, Daniel, but there's talk today of a sugar tax on soft drink, confectionery, the whole box and dice. I don't think Australians can afford much more at the moment anyway, but this is going to hit lower income people more than ever, isn't it?
Well, you're right. I mean, the last thing we need is another tax. We're already overtaxed, overgoverned, overregulated. It will probably hit the lower income the hardest, and it's not even going to do what the health lobby says it's going to do, because if you increase the cost of sugar-based meals or items, people will substitute to other things that are potentially even worse for their health. And it also gets to this point, look, adults need to make their own decisions. You don't have to agree with someone else's choice to say that they're allowed to eat things and drink things that you yourself may not agree with. That's the whole basis of a free society. So, look, I don't think...
And, you know, with kids, if you're talking about childhood obesity issues, the 7 or 8 year old kid who's eating junk food is getting the money from their parent. It's not like they've got a part-time job at 7. So it's parental responsibility there as well, isn't there?
Well, look, absolutely. And we're having an interesting debate about the online world and social media and content, and I think there's potentially a role for government there. But clearly, what is going into your child's mouth, what they're eating, what they're drinking, is first and foremost parental responsibility, as you rightly say.
I did look with interest at the LNP conference coming up. They are the hot ticket to win the state election come October. There's 173 resolutions on the table. There's absolutely everything under the sun that will be debated, but strangely enough, there's nothing there on nuclear power.
Isn't that interesting, Peter? The N word appears to be banned.
And why would that be?
They're so nervous. I think Crucifula is so nervous coming into the election. I mean, from what the polls are saying, he has this in the bag. He doesn't want to derail anything. But it will be interesting with David Littleproud and Peter Dutton both are attending the conference and speaking. And it's likely, surely, that they will be talking about nuclear. So they cannot avoid the elephant in the room, in my view.
And it was this time last year, because I went to the conference, they were at odds with the National Party, with the National coalition on the issue of the voice too. The LNP in Queensland got that one wrong.
Well, that's right. You would know better than anyone the tactics, which is they just want to keep the focus on the government because they think the government's going down, so let's just focus on them. Okay. But what Queenslanders and Australians want is leadership on these issues. I think a lot of Queenslanders were disappointed when the LNP just waved through the massive net zero bill. They gave the tick to the budget without looking at it. So you go, well, okay, the political tactic, fair enough. But at the end of the day, Queenslanders need to know, well, what kind of government will an LNP government be? And that's an open question at this point.
Thank you both. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.